Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today is my birthday, and I teased earlier this month that I was going to do something a little different from what I usually do. So today I'm going to be reacting to a track. I've had this track suggested to me a lot, and I mean a lot, but it is also a song that I am very familiar with. It's a song I know very well, and it is a track. Well, it's the track Ghost Love Score by Nightwish. Now, I have a huge collection of Nightwish. I've got numerous albums, I've got imports, I've got singles, I've got EPs, I have got a lot of Nightwish. So, you know, I'm very familiar with the band. I have covered them on this channel, I think, once before, like a few months ago. So, you know, I am very familiar with the band. And like I said, I'm very familiar with the song. But what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to be listening to 3 different versions of this song. Now, normally I'd listen to a track and talk about the lyrics and the meaning and whatnot behind it, but I'm not going to do that today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the 3 different versions. I've never heard this track live. I'm going to listen to the 3 different versions and talk about the differences and sort of compare them. Because, you know, I'm familiar with the song as Tarja sung it. I've never heard Annette or Floor Jansen sing this song. So I don't know whether maybe Annette or Floor might actually do a better version than Tarja. Now, I have mentioned before, in my personal opinion, I think Tarja is the better singer. I much prefer her voice to the other 2. And, you know, others have argued, you know, Floor Jansen's got a more versatile voice and this, that and the other. But, you know, for me, I've always preferred Tarja's voice. But like I said, I've never heard either of them 2 sing this song. So we're going to start off with Tarja's version, because that's the version I know. Then we're going to listen to the Annette version, and then we're going to listen to the Floor Jansen version. Like I said, all of these are live. I don't know how good the quality of these videos is, because, I mean, trying to find the Annette Olsen one was very hard. It was very hard to find a live performance of this track by Annette Olsen. I think I could only find 2, and I'm not sure on the quality of the video, so I don't know how it's really going to be in comparisons. But like I said, we're going to start off with Tarja when she did the End of an Era live show just before she got fired. I mean, she got handed the letter firing her backstage after they'd finished this show. So we're going to start off with that version, and then we're going, like I said, to Annette, and then we're going to Floor Jansen. So as I've covered the band before, and I'm pretty sure most people know who they are, we're going to just jump straight into it. So this is Tarja's version of Ghost Love Score. Here we go. her voice. She's just such a great voice. Beautiful.
A siren from the deep came to me, sang my name, my longing. Still I write my songs about the dream of mine, worth everything I may ever be. A child will be born again, that siren carried him to me.
Right. Before we move on to this one, this is the Annette Olsen one coming up next. Right. That performance, that is exactly how I know and love this song. This is the only way I've heard it. I've never heard the live version, but even then, her performing it live is flawless. And you've got to bear in mind, at this gig, she actually had the flu. She was actually quite ill at this time. Now, I don't know about you, but when I've got the flu, I feel like absolute garbage. And, you know, getting up to make a cup of tea feels like a lot of effort. But to be belting out a song like that powerfully and that just flawlessly, you know, that's quite an achievement. You know, that's to even consider going on stage when you're feeling like you've been run over by a bus, you know, and to perform like that at that level, you know, you've got to commend her. And like I said, that's exactly how I remember it sounding on the album. You know, it's a fantastic piece of music. She has a phenomenal voice. And she has got a huge range. I mean, if you listen to the live Phantom of the Opera, I've watched the live video for Phantom of the Opera on so many occasions, because, you know, she goes for the really sort of deep chest notes, but then she hits like an insanely high note, which is somewhere around like an E flat 6 or something like that. It's a very, very high whistle tone. You know, she's got an amazing range. She can sing. You know, she has got a tremendous voice. But anyway, as I said, now we're going to be moving on to Annette Olsen. I've never heard this song live by any of the three singers here. This is Annette Olsen. Not sure what the quality of this video is going to be like, because it looks like it's been recorded handheld by someone in the crowd. But like I said, I could only find 2 live recordings of this track, and this one looked to be the better of the 2. So I don't know how good the quality of it's going to be, and I don't know whether it's going to make a fair comparison, but it should give us some idea. So let's jump into this track now. So this is Ghost Love Score by Annette Olsen. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't sound promising already. It's my birthday, don't judge me. feel bad for whoever's got to clean that up. Right, well, that was Annette Olsen's version of Ghost Love Scott, and you could probably tell by the expressions on my face, I was not impressed by that at all. Her voice just doesn't have the range or power behind it to pull that song off well. I mean, don't get me wrong, she is a good singer. She's a very talented singer. She's got a good voice, but it doesn't match up to the challenge of that song. You know, personally, I don't think her voice goes with symphonic metal. You know, you tend to think of a sort of broader range, possibly a slightly more operatic sort of tone when you come to symphonic metal. Her voice doesn't work. But like I said, she is a good singer. She does have a good voice. It just doesn't work in this aspect. You know, it wasn't nearly powerful enough for that song. You know, she didn't have enough range either. You know, everything was pretty much on the same level. You know, there wasn't much variation of highs and lows. I mean, granted, the sound quality of that video wasn't great. So, you know, I could give her a bit of a benefit of the doubt there. But for the, you know, you could get a clear idea of her performance from that video. And I don't think it worked well at all. So, you know, I'm not overly impressed by that performance. You know, and obviously she wasn't actually in the band for very long either. So I'm not entirely sure why she left the band. I never really look into those things very much. Maybe the band just didn't think that she fitted well with the band. Maybe she didn't think that she fitted well with the band. I don't know. But yeah, no, that song was sorely lacking. So now we come to the Floor Jansen version. And now, as I said before, I think, personally, Tarja is the better singer. I think she's got the better voice. Although many people have said Flor is more, you know, she's more diverse. You know, she's more compatible with, you know, changing styles and stuff like that. So, like I said, not heard any of these live. I've never heard Flor Jansen sing live. I don't actually make a habit of watching live videos very often. I tend to just listen to albums. I don't really listen to live albums very much either. So, you know, not sure what to expect going into this. I've not heard her version of this track. So let's have a look. So Ghost Love Score again. This time, Flor Jansen's version. Let's have a look.
Siren from the deep came to me, sang my name, I love it. Still I write my songs about that dream of mine, worth everything I may ever be. Child will be born again, that siren carried him
And there we go. Floor Jansen doing Ghost Love Score. Now, that was much, much better than Annette Olsen's version. And, you know, she has got a good and powerful voice. I will give her that. She's got quite a wide range, which is also good, but it still doesn't quite match up to the range Tarja had. That being said, though, I mean, there were some elements of that track that were absolutely brilliant. They were equal to, if not maybe slightly better than the Tarja version. But one thing that both Annette and Floor did was when it came to that redeem me part, they went low. And it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't work, for me at least. I don't... Maybe it's just because I'm so used to the Tarja version, you know, the version off the album, and, you know, that's just the version I have in my head, and that's how it should sound to me. But when it comes in with that redeem me, both Annette and Floor went on a lower note, and it loses some of the impact, I think. But like I said, you know, Floor hit some quite brilliant notes, and, you know, she had quite a I see why people say she's more of a diverse vocalist. You know, I can see why they said that, because she did use a few different styles, you know, whereas Tarja uses predominantly the operatic style. Well, she does change it up a little bit. She doesn't have quite as much variation in her styles as Floor Jansen does. I'll give you that. That's fair enough. And Annette, well, she was just sort of, you know, not to take anything away from her, you know, Annette is a good singer, but I just don't think she was a fit for Nightwish at all. So, you know, when it comes to, like, between Floor and Tarja, I still prefer Tarja. She's got a much more powerful voice, and she's got a much wider range. That being said, though, Floor Jansen does bring elements to it that I do quite like, and like I said, some parts were as good, if not possibly better, than the Tarja version. But I would still have to go with the Tarja version every time, just because I think Tarja has the better voice. Again, this is just my personal opinion. That being said, though, I would still quite happily go and, you know, see Nightwish with Floor Jansen. I do wish I'd got to see them when Tarja was in the band, you know, because that would have just been phenomenal. If I'd managed to see that End of an Era gig, I would have been floored, I think. But, you know, I thought, you know, I'd do something slightly different today. With it being my birthday, I'm now 41. You can already see all the grey in my beard. But yeah, so I thought I'd do something different because, like I said, I have had this song suggested to me a lot, and I've put it off for so long because it's a song that I do know very, very well, and I wasn't sure how to approach it. So I thought, you know, with it being my birthday, I'd do something different and do 3 different versions, which was quite an experience. I will put time codes below to all the different sections should you not want to watch the whole video in its entire length. I don't know why I'm saying that at the end of the video. Oh, but you know, but yeah, I love that song. Always have done. I've always thought it was a great song. All 3 performances were good, but I would have to rate Tarja first, Floor second, and Annette last, unfortunately. But, you know, there were elements to Floor Jansen's performance that I liked. I mean, she also moves around more on the stage. She has more of a... There's more of a stage show, if you like, when Floor Jansen is on stage. Tarja doesn't really move around that much. So, you know, there's that going for her as well. You know, there's possibly a bit more... I wouldn't say stage presence, but... You know, more theatrics, I think, is the word I'm looking for. You know, Tarja was pretty stationary. You know, she would occasionally walk around and interact with members of the band, but Floor Jansen is more active on stage. But that being said, you know, I still love that song. I like all 3 versions. I still just think Tarja is the better version, in my personal opinion. But I do see why people say that Floor is a more diverse singer. So there you go. That being said, I'm going to leave that as it is because, there's not much more else I can say about that. So, yeah, I'll leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, as all of my content gets immediately demonetized the moment I upload it. So I make absolutely nothing from any of the content that I create. And, I would like to be able to improve this channel even further, finally get this background changed. I'm slowly trying to do it, but I can't afford to do it all in one go. So I'm trying to work on it. But if you want to help to support the channel, that would be massive help to me. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion rushed to the front of the queue if you so desire it even. There is a limit on how frequently you can do that. You can do it once a month, I think. I think that's what I said anyway. And that's just to be fair to people who suggest tracks through more regular means like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Comments, just give them a fair shot. Otherwise, they'd never get a look in. And if you do suggest tracks through those more regular means, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestions, since I get suggested so many tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it'll get done eventually. It just might take a little while for me to get around to it, I'm afraid. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And one of the major facets of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture. And that is something I believe in very, very strongly, something I think is very, very important, but is also very widely ignored and sort of brushed under the carpet as a non-issue. And that's something that really needs to change. Because every day, all around the world, people from the alternative culture are getting violently attacked and brutally beaten just because of their taste in music and clothing that they wear. And, we're not just talking about like name calling and, shoulder rammed as you walk down the road. We're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting hospitalized, sometimes with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries, just purely because of their taste in music and clothing. And no one ever talks about it. Every single day we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear these every single day, from the most violent and heinous of these crimes, where people are getting murdered because of the colour of their skin, their sexual identity, or their religious beliefs, down to the most petty of these crimes, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. We hear every facet of these every single day in all media platforms you can think of, but we never hear about these people from the alternative culture who are getting violently assaulted over their taste in music. The last time we heard something like this was about 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked and brutally beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, both of these people, they had their heads stamped on. They were beaten by a group of people, 5 or 6 people, and they had their heads stamped on so violently they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a little bit longer, but he did thankfully survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries, and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and was beaten to death because this group of small-minded people didn't like the fact that she listened to different music and wore different clothing. They couldn't handle the fact that she was an individual and, didn't fit in with what they considered societal norms. So, when this happened, this was all over the news for a couple of weeks, several months, however long. But as all things do, they eventually sort of die off and fade away. And, that's that. But the thing is, this happened 14 years ago, and we've not heard anything like it since. But I know for a fact there have been several hundred, if not several thousand more incidents just like that in that time frame. And we've not heard a word about it because no one's died. And that is unacceptable. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before it gets spoken about. Just a couple of years ago, a young woman in Glasgow was running a charity gig at a venue, and at one point during the night, for whatever reason, she had to go back to her home, which was a 5-minute walk away from the venue. In the time between her leaving the venue and getting to her home, she was assaulted twice by the same group of people, another group of 5 or 6 people. And she was brutally beaten, kicked, punched, knocked to the ground, and beaten more. Twice. In the time it took between her leaving the venue and getting to her home, which was only a 5-minute walk away. Now, thankfully, a passing taxi driver put an end to the violent attack, but he didn't stop to see if she was okay. He just buggered off. She didn't get any help until she got back to the venue and back to where her friends were. But this wasn't in the news. This young woman was violently, brutally assaulted twice. And this wasn't in the news. Didn't hear a thing about it. I didn't find out about it until a friend told me about it. And I could walk to Scotland from where I live. And I didn't hear about this. This wasn't in the news. Why not? You know, we hear about all these other hate crimes, from like I said, the most violent down to the most pathetic. But someone gets violently assaulted twice on the same night by a group of people. They are beaten to within an inch of their lives, and we're not hearing a thing about it because they're part of the alternative culture. It is unacceptable. Just because you're a member of the alternative culture doesn't mean you are not entitled to justice. Does not mean that people can get away with this. And this is the thing. People are ignoring this, brushing this aside and classing it as not an issue. And by doing that, you're letting these people think that they can get away with it. And that is not acceptable. We cannot allow that to keep happening. You know, if we keep ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happens to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And we cannot allow that to happen. It must never happen again. It should never have happened in the first place. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to this. They want more people talking about this. They want to make more people realise how big of a problem this really is. Because, you know, this isn't a recent thing. This has been going on for longer than I've been alive. And it needs to stop. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. You know, we can't allow this to keep happening. So if you want to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is. And they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so. But if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's, you know, a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these, you know, Sophie wristbands, or maybe even that one, you know, they've got a whole bunch of other cool stuff on their website if you want to have a look at that. But, you know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.